Welcome back, everyone, to another story. Today's story is a Halloween special. We really hope you enjoy. Hosting a Halloween party had been my idea. I'd hyped it up for weeks. My friends were all excited, plans had been made, drinks had been bought, and the playlist was perfect. It was going to be the best Halloween party I'd ever thrown. But that morning, everything nearly came crashing down. I was halfway through brushing my teeth when something caught my eye near my closet. At first, I figured it was just one of my dog's usual chew victims, maybe an old slipper or a forgotten t-shirt. But as I walked over, my stomach dropped. There it was, my Batman costume, or rather what was left of it. The once sleek black fabric was now in tatters. The utility belt had been chewed clean through, the gloves were shredded beyond repair, and the mask was ripped straight down the middle. My dog, Max, sat nearby with his tail wagging and tongue lolling out, clearly thrilled with his handiwork. He even let out a bark, as if proudly announcing his latest chew toy conquest. I groaned as I held up the torn remains. Seriously? Out of everything you could have destroyed? I muttered in frustration. I sighed and dropped the costume onto my bed like a funeral offering. I'd been planning this party for weeks, and now the one thing I needed to tie it all together, my costume, was ruined beyond recognition. With less than 10 hours to go, I started pacing, toothbrush still hanging from the corner of my mouth, as I scrambled for options. I fired off messages in every group chat I was in, asking desperately if anyone had a spare costume. Then I scoured store websites. Everything decent was sold out. Even the weird off-brand ones were gone. I called a few stores in town but had no luck. Most were picked clean or closing early. Nothing was working. The panic was creeping in. Then I remembered someone who might actually be able to help. My sister. She always went hard for Halloween. Maybe, just maybe, she had something tucked away. Eventually I called her. "I might have something," she said, stifling a laugh when I explained my situation. "But it might be a little snug. And it's for a woman." At this point, I don't care. "What is it?" I asked back. "It's a witch costume. Black dress, pointy hat, long sleeves. I wore it a few Halloweens ago. It's in the attic." The idea of wearing a witch's costume for Halloween was a strange one for me, but at this point I was desperate. She dropped it off later that afternoon. I held it up in my room, eyeing the narrow waistline and flared skirt. It was definitely meant for someone smaller, but I figured it'd be funny. A guy in a witch costume? That's a laugh in itself. And my friends would totally eat it up. When it came time to get ready, I squeezed into the thing. It took effort, and I definitely heard a few stitches scream, but somehow I got it on. The material clung to me tighter than expected, but after adding the hat and some black boots, I actually didn't look half bad. I even tossed on some eyeliner for fun. By the time guests started arriving, the house was glowing with orange lights, fake cobwebs, and good music. One by one, my friends trickled in, each in their own costume. They all had their own unique costume, and there I was, standing at the door, greeting them like some gothic hostess. "Dude," one of my friends laughed, doubling over. "You actually went full witch?" "Better than showing up as a naked Batman," I shot back. The jokes kept coming, but I didn't care. I played into them and laughed them off. Honestly, I was just glad the party was going smoothly. But that's when things got weird. I was grabbing a drink from the kitchen when I felt something. Not pain, just pressure. Like the fabric of the costume was shifting against me. At first, I thought it was just the alcohol making me overly aware of my body. But then I noticed the dress didn't feel quite as tight around my waist anymore. It almost felt like it had been molded to fit my body. Curious, I glanced down and paused. My waist looked slimmer. Not massively, but enough to notice. I blinked, chalked it up to the lighting, and went back to the living room to continue partying. But with each passing hour, I felt it more. Subtle shifts. My hips felt wider. The boots no longer pinched my feet. They felt like they were made for me. At one point, I ran my hands down my sides and paused again. My proportions were off. Not dramatically, but different. Softer. The real panic didn't hit until Dave, one of my oldest friends, walked over with a drink in hand and said, "Hey, you look shorter, man. You lose a few inches?" "What?" I responded. "Yeah," he said, furrowing his brow. "I swear you were taller than me this morning." That's when the alarm bells went off. I left the room quietly, pretending I had to check something in the kitchen, but I headed straight to my bedroom instead, closing the door behind me. I stood in front of my full-length mirror and froze. My breath caught in my throat. I barely recognized myself. My body had slimmed down, but in places I wasn't ready for. My shoulders were narrower, my arms thinner. My waist dipped in, leading to hips that were undeniably curvier than before. I reached up with trembling fingers. There were small, but very real, curves forming. "Oh my God," I whispered, panic rising in my throat. I grabbed the edge of the dress and tried to pull it off, but it wouldn't move. It was like it was fused to my skin. "What the hell is this?" I muttered as sweat started to form on my forehead. I wrestled with the costume for what felt like 20 minutes. At some point, I knocked over a lamp. The noise must have carried through the house. A few minutes later, I heard a knock. "Hey, you good?" came a voice. It was Jason. I didn't respond. The doorknob turned and Jason stepped in. He stared at me, confused. "Who are you?" he asked eventually. "Jason, it's me," I said, my voice soft and higher pitched than I expected. He stared for a long moment. "No way." No freaking way. I didn't say anything. Just pointed to the mirror. He walked over, tilted it toward me, and for the first time, I saw what he saw. A woman. A full, undeniably feminine figure. My face had changed. Softer features. Big eyes. Long lashes. My jawline was delicate now, and my lips full. "Holy crap," Jason whispered. "You're a girl." I couldn't respond. He sat on the edge of the bed. "How did this happen?" he asked. I sat beside him, burying my face in my hands. The costume. It's gotta be the costume. It started fitting better all of a sudden. And now, I'm a girl. He looked me over again. "It's not just better. It's perfect. Like it was made for your body now?" I nodded, not looking up. "I've been trying to take it off. It won't budge." The rest of the night, I stayed in my room. I could still hear the party going on outside, but it felt like I was miles away. Eventually, everyone left. After a while, I tried to remove the costume again, and this time, it slid off easily. But it was too late. The changes were done. I stood in front of the mirror with a woman staring back at me. Sleep didn't come easy that night. I kept thinking it'd wear off in the morning, that this was all some freak, temporary curse, or dream. But when I woke up, nothing had changed. I was still her. Still in this girly body. Eventually, after working up some courage, I called my sister, praying she knew something. "The witch costume?" she repeated, clearly confused. "I got that from some little antique store years ago. Why? What happened?" I explained. She went silent. "You're serious?" she eventually responded. "I wouldn't joke about this," I said back. She promised to help me look into it, but nothing came up. No store listings, no curse stories. Nothing. It was like the costume didn't exist anywhere online. I spent days searching, posting anonymously on forums, asking weird Reddit threads, trying everything. But nothing worked. Eventually, I had to just accept it. That I was a girl now. It was weird. At first, I didn't leave the house for what felt like forever. I felt like a stranger in my own skin. Like my body didn't belong to me anymore. Every time I looked in the mirror, it was jarring, like seeing someone else stare back. My voice, my walk, the way clothes fit me, it all felt alien. I couldn't bring myself to answer the door or even look at my phone most days. But slowly, almost without noticing, I started adjusting. It didn't happen all at once. It was the little things. First, it was clothes. I started out wearing oversized hoodies and sweatpants, just trying to hide everything. But eventually, I got curious. One day, I slipped on a pair of leggings that had been in a donation bag from my sister, just to see what they felt like. To my surprise, they felt really nice. I stared at myself in the mirror, expecting to hate it, but I didn't. Getting used to my voice was another challenge. I hated how different it sounded, how soft and unfamiliar it was. I started practicing in secret, reading old texts out loud and testing new inflections, trying to find a version of my voice that felt like mine. It took time, a lot of it. But once I stopped resisting, something strange happened. I began to adapt. It wasn't like flipping a switch, but the day-to-day became less of a battle. I stopped feeling like I had to hide. And the world around me? It felt different as a girl. People saw me and accepted what they saw. Strangers called me Miss or Ma'am, and cashiers complimented my hair. A barista even asked where I got my nails done, and it wasn't a joke. It was genuine. People treated me differently, sure, but not always in bad ways. In some ways, it felt like I was finally being seen. A few months passed, and I'd become someone new. Not just on the outside, but in how I carried myself, how I spoke, how I moved through the world. I was no longer reacting. I was just existing. I even picked a new name, Lily. It was short, soft, and simple. It felt right, like it had always been waiting for me. And honestly, I think I like being her. It's still weird, and I have no idea why that costume did what it did. But Halloween gave me a life I never expected. And maybe I'm not entirely okay with it yet. But I'm learning. Every day feels a little more familiar, and things are slowly getting better again. Thanks for watching this video. More videos will be coming very soon. If you enjoyed this story, you'll love the story shown on screen or another one from our playlist. Before you go, remember to check out our new Patreon page for more stories, polls, and community chats with me. There is more info in the pinned comment and description. Thanks for watching.